And I'm talking about the menopause today because there are a lot of things that don't really matter. It doesn't matter which country you come from. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what clothes you wear, whether you wear designer clothes or whether you wear clothes from a second-hand shop. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are. Whether you live in a big castle or you live out on the streets. Because at some point, if you're a woman, you will go through the menopause. There's no discrimination and there's no getting away from it either. Some people have an easier time than others, and that's absolutely fantastic. A lot of women don't. And that's kind of where this comes in handy, well, where this comes into play. So, my aim is to give you some information on the menopause, so you have perhaps a better understanding. Because you'll be surprised how much women actually don't know about the menopause until they're actually in the middle of it. And I'm also hopefully going to show you a few ways you can help some of your clients, because this isn't just about how you can help yourself, this is about how you can help those clients. Because there are around 7 billion people on the planet. Law of averages decrees that half of those are going to be women. Around that 3.5 billion people, you're going to have around a fifth of them are going to be in menopause. A lot of those women need and want help. And that's a continual cycle, it doesn't go away. So when they finish, there's always more coming through. So, what I'm going to obviously give you some information. I'm going to go through a couple of some case studies that I worked with, some women that I worked with. And obviously, you know, throughout there'll be little things that you can do with your clients. Just a little bit about me before we get any further. I was a primary school teacher for 13 years. So if I end up going into teacher mode, please forgive me, that's where it comes from. If I say to you, cross your legs, sit down on the floor, cross your legs, you know, I'll sit back. I became a full-time hypnotherapist back in July 2015, and that was largely thanks to Sheila. She helped me take my part-time practice, because I was part-time full teaching and part-time working as a hypnotherapist, and make that into what I wanted to be so that I could do that full-time. That's the centre that I work from in Swindon in England. As you can probably hear, I come from the UK. So that's a little quaint, and it is very quaint, and all the floorboards are like that. There's nothing straight in there, which is really cool. Very quaint little place. So, one of the phrases that kind of comes to mind is, necessity is the mother of invention. Now, a lot of the programs that you hear today, a lot of the different things that we hear about have come about because there's been a need. This whole menopause relief program that I did actually came about because back in 2012 I had a hysterectomy. I was quite poorly, and that's what it ended up being. I needed to have a hysterectomy. When you're lying in a hospital bed, you kind of have a lot of time to think, especially if your mind's okay. It's just your body needs a bit of repair work. And I'd finished my training the year before, so I was still really, really curious. And I kind of kept thinking, oh my God, I've got to go through all those blessed hot flushes. And that was the only thing that I would relate to with the menopause, was the hot flushes. So I was lying there thinking, well, hang on a second, if you can control pain, because we all know you can control pain with hypnosis, it's very well documented. Surely you can control hot flushes then. If we can do that, we can do the other as well. So anyway, time sort of went on and I forgot all about it. I put it to the back of my mind. Life moved on. But there was still that curiosity. I still kept thinking about it. Every now and again it would surface. I thought, you know what? I wonder if you can. So I became curious, even more curious than I was before. So come December, come Christmas 2014, in that in-between bit between Christmas and New Year when you have kind of nothing to do, I suddenly woke up one morning and I just sat down with a pen and started writing. I wrote down all my ideas, all the things that I thought I would like to hear and do with the menopause. And then sort of after about 3 days, I'd finished it and I wanted to try it there and then. So I put a post on Facebook. Facebook can be very useful. I put one little post, it was only about 3 lines. I need some volunteers to test out my theory, basically. And I had a couple of volunteers come through, which was really great. I wanted to do it there and then, in between Christmas and New Year. Strangely enough, nobody actually caught up with me. Nobody wanted to come and do that. They kept saying, Helen, it's Christmas. Yeah, I know it's Christmas, come on. But they didn't want to, so I had to wait till January, which it was only a few days, but do you know what, that few days, oh God, it felt like a lifetime. So that one post on Facebook actually got picked up by the local press and got put into their paper, so I gained some more volunteers. But more importantly, it started to get out there, even just that one thing. So I started the trials in the January. The first time I did it, looking back now, I'm not sure that I knew entirely what I was doing, but I just went for it. And I think that's what a lot of this is about, is that we just go for things that we think are going to work. We want to try things. And when the first sessions went really well, but it was when people came back for the second and third sessions that I started to notice that there might be something to this, because the second time round, when they came in for the following session, how are you doing? I'm doing really well, thank you, Helen. Good. How's those hot flushes coming on? Well, they're not quite so hot as they were, I don't think. Oh, that's really good, great, because that's all I intended to do, was to see if you could turn it down. I hadn't even thought about switching them off. All I wanted to do was just turn them down. Then they started saying, the ladies started saying, I don't think I'm having so many. I said, what do you mean you're not having so many? Well, they're not so hot and I'm having less during the day. Great. So that carried on, and to be fair, everybody kept saying a similar thing. So that's when I started to get even more excited about what I was doing. I then had an interview with the local press about hypnosis generally. And I just happened to mention to her that I was doing this trial. So that was put in the press again because she included that as part of the thing. The whole thing then started to become one huge snowball rolling downhill, which was really fantastic. I ended up being invited down to London to work with an editor of one of the big high glossy magazines, which I actually didn't realise at the time, called Spirit and Destiny. Now, I don't know if you have it here, but we have it in England. And it's a big glossy magazine about all kinds of spiritual things and well-being stuff. So I went down to work with the editor there, and she wrote an article about working with the menopause, about her experience of working with me, with her menopausal symptoms. So that kind of got even further, because that was whole countrywide, which was really excellent. Not what I'd intended at the start of the year, but absolutely fantastic. So that's kind of the basic journey, and it's just rolled on from there. So the menopause itself. This is when I started to learn more and more about the menopause. The menopause is basically when women lose their fertility. They can't have children anymore. They can't continue the species anymore. The magic age for menopause is 51. Now that's an average. Everything has to kind of work on averages, because you always get people that are well below that, and you get people that are well above that. So the kind of hormones that you're sort of dealing with the menopause is estrogen and progesterone. Those are the two main ones. Testosterone is part of the sex hormones, but we're focusing more on estrogen and progesterone. Now, one of the things people want to know is, why do you get hot flushes? Why do you get hot flushes? They don't really serve huge amounts of purpose. What I I discovered was that scientists don't generally agree. But this seems to be the theory that most of them tend to agree with the most. You've got to love scientists, haven't you? They push us forward, but sometimes they make us cross because they can't agree on anything. So, what they kind of say is that there's a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, that bit. That bit controls the body temperature. It's also responsible for a whole load of other things, but in this instance it controls the body temperature. When you have a decrease in your estrogen levels, the brain detects that. It quite adversely affects this part of the brain. It detects that drop in estrogen and detects it as heat. So it then sends out the cooling system, which we know, if you've had hot flushes, you know that means those lovely sweats. When you drip with sweat and it goes all down your back. For some people it does. Other people, they just have a little bit of sweat. A lot of people, it's really dripping. And I've seen ladies with it dripping down off their chin, down their back, your hair's all wet, lovely. Just what we need. So, that's the theory of why hot flushes happen, or how they happen. Now, this is one of the other theories. This is the estrogen dominance theory. And it does make sense, but what you do need to bear in mind is that hormones are a very delicate balance. And everybody's balance is different. So just as with any kind of medication or hypnosis in some cases, it works for some and not others. Dr. Lee was the doctor that was the author of the estrogen dominance theory. Now that comes because the progesterone drops really quickly. Estrogen drops a lot slower. So it then kind of leaves the estrogen in control. Okay. He did write a book called What Your Doctor May Not Tell You About the Menopause. So if you want to find out more about his particular work, that would be one of the books to get. I know he does promote progesterone cream to even the balance out. I also know that some people have had quite adverse effects with that cream. As I said, hormone balance is very delicate. So, estrogen, and you can kind of see how estrogen and progesterone balance each other out. They're kind of like, in some respects, yin and yang. So estrogen builds up the lining of the uterus, progesterone helps to maintain that lining. Estrogen increases body fat, which is why women tend to put weight on in menopause. Progesterone helps that body fat to be used as energy. So you can see from that one example, when your progesterone level drops right down, it leaves your estrogen in control. With that one particular thing, it's helping your body to produce more fat, but there isn't the other side of it to maintain that control, to then use that fat. So that's one of the reasons why women do tend to put weight on in menopause, and 5 pounds is about the average, although I do think there's probably quite a few women that will argue with that fact. Depression and headaches and anxiety, migraines, those kind of things. Estrogen is one of the things that helps that to sort of occur. Progesterone acts as an antidepressant. So you can see how that all balances each other out. The libido. With estrogen, it reduces your libido down. Progesterone brings it back up again. So if progesterone has dropped completely, you can see how that's come down. The libido has come down, but there's nothing there, or very little, to bring it back up again. The estrogen is also responsible for an increases the risk of some of the female cancers, breast cancer being one of them. Progesterone helps to protect the body against those female cancers. So again, you can see the importance of the two working together side by side. This is one of the things that you can do about it. So if your clients are talking about all the things that we've mentioned so far, this is one of the things that you can help them to do. You can advise them, you can suggest to them. Vitamin B6, zinc and magnesium are very good for progesterone levels to help build them back up again. Vitamin C, all the B vitamins and omega-3 is good for general menopause symptoms. Vitamin C and sunflower seeds are very good for hot flushes. So you can give your client that information. If they choose to use it, that is up to them. All we can do is advise them, if you do this, you are likely to get this kind of result, or you may get this result. If they choose not to use the tools that you teach them, the advice you give them, that is down to them. Good, 3 good seeds and nuts to eat generally for the menopause symptoms are the almonds, the pumpkin seeds and the sunflower seeds. They contain a lot of nutrients, a lot of nutrition that helps generally with a lot of other symptoms. Because it's not just the levels that we've just talked about, but there's also things like, alongside the hot flushes, there's also the other symptoms that come along with that. In some cases, not every case, like the anxiety, the panic attacks, the mood swings. And quite a lot of the men will understand the mood swings. Sometimes you get dry skin. Sometimes your skin goes a bit dry. With some women, some of the hair starts to fall out. Now I know, personally speaking, my hair starts to fall out. For me, that's the end of the world. With women, the hair is it's part of your identity actually, isn't it, I think? So it's quite a touchy thing. And of course then we've got the weight gain that we talked about earlier. So it's not just one symptom, it's not just the hot flush, it's everything else. Of course, alongside the hot flushes, you get the night sweats, or some people get the night sweats. And it's more probably the night sweats that cause the most disruption, because you lose sleep. In a lot of cases, they can be so severe that they wake you up. And a lot of women wake up drenched in sweat. And all the bedclothes are nice and wet. Then you've either got to get up and change the bed, change your pajamas, you've got to sort yourself out, you lose sleep. Then you've got to try and get back to sleep. And some women it doesn't happen like that. Some women it does. Those are the ones that I found that get the most out of this program, of doing this. Because just to reduce even just the intensity of those night sweats improves their life tremendously. Because you know as well as I do, if you get a good night's sleep, the next day, whatever happens, you can cope with it much better. If you've been losing sleep, I don't know, let's say 4 or 5 nights out of 7, every single week, for months and months and months, can you just imagine now how tired you're going to be, how irritable you'd be? Now flip that around to the other side. Can you imagine the patience that your partner will have to deal with you and cope with you? I'm lucky enough to be married to somebody that has extreme patience, who's needed extreme patience and still has extreme patience. Thank you. So, to help those women with those situations, with those symptoms, is huge. It makes a huge difference to them. Hypnosis itself works brilliantly well with this. And some people say to me, how does that work? And I think, well, it's hypnosis, it works. It works with your brain because part of it is calming down. One of the things that I discovered a lot was triggers. And I'll talk about that in a second. What I do want to go through, for some of you, if you're going to deal with those menopausal clients, and there are a lot of them that need a lot of help, you kind of need to know what it feels like. Now, it's the sort of thing, unless you've actually experienced a hot flush or a hot flash, excuse me. Unless you've experienced it, you don't really understand what it feels like. But these are about the best examples I can describe to you. And these come from some of the clients that I've had. The common one that they will say is it feels like a volcano erupting from the inside. And it gets hotter and hotter until it boils over. Other people describe the sweat like rivers of sweat, and for some people it really is like a river of sweat. For other people, it's kind of like a glow. Now in England we have radiators. Here you have blown air heating. In England we have radiators. When you turn those radiators up, they kind of glow. If you go near them, you can feel the heat coming off them like that. That's what it feels like for a lot of women. Sort of all of a sudden you're just glowing. One of the things that I kind of describe it as. Now, I like watching a lot of films. I love superhero films. And if any of you have ever seen the Fantastic Four films, there's a character in there that, in the Fantastic Four, that they call the Torch. You know what I'm going to say, don't you? And he stands there and he just goes, flame on! And he erupts in flame like that. Sometimes it's like that. You're there and all of a sudden, woof, you're in flame. So that's kind of what it feels like, so you can have a little bit of an understanding. Let's go back to that. The symptoms, the triggers. One of the things that I did, and one of the things that I do in even more depth now with my ladies, is to ask them about their triggers. What sets it off? Some of them will say to you, nothing. There is no pattern, nothing sets it off. If you carry on asking them and talking to them, you will see that there is, more often than not, a pattern. Some of the common triggers are things like two hot things together, like a hot meal and a hot cup of tea. That's an easy fix. You can sort that one out straight away, in most cases. Okay? Have a cold drink with your evening meal. Did you know I was going to say that? Yeah. Okay? Have your cup of tea later, or your coffee. Okay? I did have one lady on the trial who said to me, I kept on really bad in the morning. I said, oh, that's okay. What are you doing at that time? Oh, I'm drying my hair. I said, oh, okay. What else are you doing at the same time then? Well, I'm having my cup of tea while I'm drying my hair. I said, oh, okay. Why don't you dry your hair first and then have your cup of tea after you finish drying your hair? Bingo. That was one gone, straight away. Very, very easy, quick fix. Because you haven't connected the two things together. So quite often you'll find the two hot things together, whatever they are, will trigger a hot flush for a lot of women. Unfortunately, for some women, one of the other big triggers is red wine. White wine too, but generally I find it's a lesser extent. And there's one of the case studies that I want to talk about. We'll include that. So there are quite a few different things that will trigger them off. Stress is another one. Stress is, in fact, stress is probably the biggest trigger. If you get very stressed, or your clients get very stressed, very bothered and rushing around, that will quite often cause bad hot flushes. And it's not necessarily at that particular time, it may be that it flows through to the night time. So if you reduce their stress levels, they may not experience so many night flushes. So it's a general thing. So the case studies then. I'm going to go through Kelly, Karen and Alison. Now, Kelly is about 64, 65 now. She's a retired school teacher. She's been going through the menopause for about 14, 15 years. It's been a long time. And the doctors generally told her that it'd be a few months. I don't think I've come across anybody that's done it in a few months yet. She had about 20 hot flushes a day, and they were really bad. She was quite an extreme case. She found them very distracting. Can you imagine? She sat at school, 30 children, sweat dripping down, bright red. One of the things that happens sometimes is it tends to make you a bit confused. You can kind of lose your train of thought as well. So it was a bit hard for her, and it was also a bit embarrassing sometimes as well. Can you imagine other kids with this? Why are you so red? Why are you dripping? How do you explain to reception children, it's all right, I'm having a moment, just sit there, children. Amuse yourselves for a second. So, before she came to me, she had been on HRT for a little while, but then decided she wanted to come off. That was when her hot flushes started to get worse. The worst ones were at night, and coincidentally one of them, she always used to find that every time she was cooking, she would have a really bad one. Again, it's the heat. She did experience slight anxiety as well, not as bad as some people. I have had people that anxiety and panic was so bad, they couldn't go into the local town and have a cup of coffee with friends, with a daughter. Couldn't go shopping because of the panic. A lot of that panic comes down to, what if I'm in a shop and I have a hot flush? What if I can't get out? What if? And it's all those things that kind of make that panic or fuel that panic. When she started with me in January, she became, we did talk about her triggers, but not in the depth that we do now. But even so, she recognised straight away that some of them she could deal with, that could be changed. By the third week in February, her 20 hot flushes had reduced down to around 5 in a day. She was only having 1 or 2 bad ones in that day, or what she classed as bad ones then. There was a steady improvement, but then all of a sudden, things changed. All her hot flushes came back. I said, what's happened? And when we got talking, she said, I'm worried. I said, why? What are you worried about? I think you've got control. I said, no, I don't have control. We did talk about this before. It was always part of the pre-talk. I don't have any control at all. You've got control over your own hot flushes, not me. So we discussed it a little bit more. And she realised then that it was her that was controlling them, not me. Following time, back to 5 a day. They'd gone back down again, which is great. And I saw her a couple of weeks ago before we came here, which was really good because it then allowed me to have a really good update for everybody. And she said to me, I'm doing really well. I'm doing brilliantly well. She now has less than 5 days. If she actually has sort of 4 or 5, she considers that to be a bad day. when you go back to the beginning, when she first came, she was over the moon to have 5 day. That was an absolutely fantastic day. Now, sort of 4 or 5 is a bad day. She doesn't have any more of those horrible night sweats that wake her up. She gets a good night's sleep, and she looks so much better just for getting that rest. She occasionally gets sun, the odd one in the night, but it doesn't really wake her up, and if it does, it's only a couple of minutes, and it's not very hot at all. It's one of those ones you can kind of just bat off, because you don't even notice. She knows now exactly all of her triggers. She knows exactly what it is she's doing. She knows what sets her off. So then she can avoid that, because avoidance is part of the treatment. Why do something if you know quite well and it's going to cause that much distress to you? If you can avoid it, you take it out of the equation. Even so, she said they are still coming down. They are still reducing. She tends to get possibly 2 a day now, on average. And she said the other week that they are still improving all the time. Now, we've been working together for 18 months. When she first came, she was listening to a recording that I gave her every single day. And she was coming once a week. Now she comes once every 3 months. She listens to a recording once a week because she has so much control over what it is that she's doing. So that's absolutely fantastic. Now Karen was a different kettle of fish altogether. Karen was hyperactive. She didn't like electrical things. She was very sensitive to electrical impulses. She found it very difficult to relax.